Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining me live on Facebook. For those of you who I don't know, my name is Anjali Varma. So, welcome to my weekly Facebook Live. I am likely seeing many of you in my Mompreneur Tribe Facebook group, but if you're catching this on my blog or on YouTube, would love for you to join the Mompreneur Tribe Facebook group to get weekly Facebook Lives from me, as well as other resources, tips, and collaboration with other mom entrepreneurs or really any female entrepreneurs. And would love for you to head over to anjalivarma.com to subscribe to my newsletter for ongoing weekly tips and or to set up a free consult for coaching. This week, I am joined by Nahid Oberfeld. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nahid is a coach, and we're going to be talking about a topic which is really interesting, I think. And I think what we're going to discover today is that whether you feel like you're in a good place in your business and or you want to kind of take your business to the next level, oftentimes we have things going on in our head that can be holding us back or maybe preventing us from taking it to the next level or even getting there. So today we're going to talk about what some of those blocks might be and how to really open up your money mindset to boost your income. Is that a good explanation of our discussion?
That's a fantastic explanation, but before we start, I really want to give a shout out to your Facebook Live. So I'm not even a mom, but I am an entrepreneur, and I think I joined like 2 months ago.
Yes.
And I've tried to be on every single Facebook Live you have. I haven't made everyone, but it's been fantastic. So I really heartily recommend it to all of you out there listening. Come on into Facebook Live. It's a lot more fun, interactive. You get to ask questions.
Yes, absolutely.
So absolutely. So
yes.
I'm going to be sharing this with my friends as well.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So speaking of, if any of you are out there, would love for you to give a shout out and say hi, and or we will be checking out throughout the conversation for questions and comments. So feel free to post your comments, and whenever we have a pause in our conversation, we can take those questions. And if you are watching a recording of this, feel free to comment anyway, and I go back and kind of look every so often to figure out if there are new questions or comments, and I'll be happy to kind of post then. So chime in and interact. It's always a little more fun when we've got some interaction going on. So Nahid, now, one more thing. In the tribe, we posted a link to a worksheet that we're going to be going through in a couple minutes, an exercise that Nahid's going to walk you through to help with this money mindset and any blocks you might be having. So if you want to pause and download that worksheet, it's easy. You just click on the link and you can that way walk through the exercise with us. But before we dive into that, take us through kind of, without giving away anything, what it is that we're going to be going through today and why it's so important for anybody in their business.
Absolutely. In fact, this subject is important for everybody. Everybody wants to feel more successful. It doesn't matter where it is, whether it's monetarily, financially, in your health, it doesn't really matter. And here is why it's really important. So in 2008, one of the premier research institutions in the world, actually the Max Planck Institute, did a really groundbreaking study, and this is what they found. They found that even though people were asked to make a conscious decision, they were asked to move their hand, for example, and so they needed to make a conscious decision to, I'm going to move my left hand, and this is how I'm going to do it. What they found was before that, full 7 seconds before that, there was a subconscious decision that was taking place, in different areas of the brain that would prime the person to actually do a particular thing. And it was so clear that with 100% accuracy, just by looking at the subconscious brainwave activity, researchers knew exactly what that person was going to do. So we think we're making logical decisions based on analysis and reasoning. We have no idea how much our subconscious is really influencing us and ruling how we behave on a regular basis. So when it comes to money, it's such an emotional subject. There's so many emotions that we pick up as we are growing up that we don't even know about. It's stuck in there, and it just acts like filters that we don't even recognize. So that's why uncovering what's in your subconscious, that mindset piece, is really important for everybody.
Okay, and so, and as Nahid mentioned, this is valuable whether you have a business or you are more on the personal side of things as well, right?
Right. So if you're a corporate employee and you feel like, you know what, I just want to take my level of success, whatever it happens to be, to the next level. Everybody wants to go a little bit further. They could be very happy with where they are right now, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as we reach our milestones, what do? If we want to reach, if we go to the next level, it's part of being alive and being human, so to speak.
So now, would you say these blocks you're saying it's the way that we think? It's a frame of mind and or positivity versus negativity, and
so it's not so much positive versus negative. It manifests itself that way, but really what it comes down to, and we're going to get into the exercise. This is where the exercise becomes very crucial. What do I deserve? What do I feel worthy of? And what do I feel like other people, how are they going to judge me? What are their reactions going to be? So say I'm a world famous, say I'm Tony Robbins, and I charge $10,000 for a weekend workshop. How would I feel? More often than not, people would say, wow, what could I do that would get people paying me $10,000? Everybody's going to judge me. They're going to think I'm greedy. So we're going to get into all of that.
Interesting.
So we want something, but there's that inner conflict that, but maybe
that
it's not. That
voice that's maybe talking us out of it.
Right, and it stems from stuff we learned when we were young.
Wow,
so
okay.
All good stuff that we're going to get into.
Okay, so should we dive right in, do you think? Or is there anything else we should chat about before kind of moving into the exercise?
So the one thing that I would like to ask people is to understand that as we're going through this exercise, this is really not about self-judgment. It's not about self-recrimination. It can bring up some strong emotions inside of us, because what I'm helping people uncover are what are those big blocks, and that doesn't always feel comfortable, right? So when we get into that place of discomfort, we have a tendency to blame ourselves. And I want to ask people to take this moment. It has nothing to do with you personally. It's really what we've experienced from our parents, what they've experienced from their tribe. We've just kind of picked it up and we're very unconscious about how we repeat it. So take this more as an objective learning experience, because once you know, then you're empowered to make the right decision.
Okay. And would you say that it can sometimes be a challenge to be honest with yourself when you're going through this exercise?
It's actually harder to not to be honest.
Oh, interesting.
Because if you get into the exercise the way it's designed, and I call it an inner journey experience, and you'll see exactly why we're going into the inner journey. So I find it that people tend to get into it really, really quickly. Especially when you're at home and you're in the privacy of your own home, and you have have some privacy there, you can get into it and you're going to start noticing things very, very quickly.
Okay.
So it's usually the opposite.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this is the worksheet that you can find when you click on the link. So I recommend that if you're watching the replay of this afterwards, that you click on the link and download it before we start, right?
Yeah.
And he's going to ask every question out loud as well.
Exactly.
So if you have a piece of paper, you can also just write down. But it really is going to, this specific Facebook Live is going to be the most valuable to you if you are interactive, and meaning you do it yourself and you answer the questions yourself, right?
Absolutely. So don't try to answer them in your mind. When I ask you to write them down, really take a moment. I'm going to say close your eyes and do the steps, because that's where you're going to get the best benefit from. So really don't try to just don't multitask on this one, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Be present.
Okay. And how long do you think that this will take, just so people can maybe carve out the time?
So 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It won't be longer than 15 minutes. And then also you have the chance to ask questions while we're still online.
Right. So we would love to hear your questions and from you. But okay, we're going to dive in so we have time to kind of get through the whole thing.
Yes.
And you guys, I would love to hear afterwards too how, how you perceived this exercise, and also hopefully what you were able to uncover from it. So, okay.
Absolutely. So the first thing we're going to ask you to do is just close your eyes, all right, to get into a comfortable position. And imagine if situations and circumstances were not an issue, what would be your big, audacious, maybe even arrogant goal for yourself? So think about that for a second. And it could be a personal goal. Maybe you want to travel. If you have kids, sending them off to college, whatever it happens to be, what's that big goal that you'd really like for yourself and your family? And I want you to come up with a monetary number that will help you achieve that goal. Everything we do, because of the way we live in our society, has a monetary value. So come up with a number, something that brings you butterflies to your stomach, something that makes you feel both excited and a little nervous. This is your reach number. So when you're done with that, just open your eyes and just answer the first question on exercise 1, which is basically, what's your big goal? So just take a moment to write down what your big goal would be. Okay, so now we're going to get into the exercise. I'm going to ask you once again to keep your eyes closed, and I'll let you know when to open them. So this is the inner journey part. So imagine you're sitting in a movie theater, and you're watching this giant screen, and on the screen is this big room. This room is filled with people that you know. These are friends and family, acquaintances, past clients, present clients, people that you worked with, going all the way back to teachers and schoolmates. This giant room is filled with everybody that you know, and in front of the room, there's a stage, and you are standing on this stage. Everybody's looking at you. Nobody's talking, they're just looking at you. And you're holding up this big giant sign. And the sign has that monetary goal that you just identified. That big number that feels really scary. It feels exciting, but it also feels scary to achieve. And what you're telling everybody is, this is how much I am making. This is how much I feel like I deserve. This is what I am worth. So just stand over there for a second, and I want you to tune into your body and feel, how comfortable does it feel standing there? Because remember, in our society, we don't discuss our financial information like this. So you're feeling vulnerable, potentially, maybe feeling exposed, but you're standing there feeling like, wow, this is my number. So the first thing I want you to do is you can open your eyes, and from 0 to 10, how uncomfortable was that? If 10 is the most uncomfortable, how uncomfortable was that for you? So just take a moment and write that down and exercise 2. Rate it from 0 to 10. Your level of
That's
discomfort.
the feeling of that number, or the feeling of standing in front of everyone and saying that number?
Feeling of standing in front of everyone, being vulnerable, exposing yourself to that number. So the two are linked.
Okay.
Okay, so that number, especially if it was high for you, there's an emotion, several emotions actually underneath that number. So the question then becomes, what are the emotions that are hiding underneath that number? So a lot of people, they say, it's a mixed bag. Sometimes, wow, it feels so great. I'm making such a huge amount of money. Sometimes it's embarrassment. I can't really tell people I'm making so much money. What are they going to think about me? And for some people, it's also a lot of guilt or shame because they've been made to feel guilty or shameful. Not so much just because they're going for money, but because they're going for something that's big that they want, that they feel like they should have. So I'm going to ask you once again, if you need to close your eyes, but what are the top 3 emotions that you feel as you're standing up there, holding the sign, feeling exposed and vulnerable? So think for a moment of what those would be. And the one thing that we never talk about when we talk about mindset is, what's the physical aspect? We talk about our belief systems, and we talk a little bit more about our emotions, usually fear. But with all of this comes the physical tension. So as you're standing there, so again, especially if you have a high number, you got to feel it somewhere in your body, right? Because we're an integrated being. So where do you normally carry your tension, and where do you find it when you're thinking about these emotions, whatever it happens to be for you? Do you feel it in your body anywhere? And if you do, write that down. That's also part of exercise too. So I feel this tension in my upper jaws, or my neck and my shoulders. It's everybody pretty much knows where they feel it. Okay, and then the next question that's really important to understand is the reason that you feel this way, all these emotions and all this physical tension, is for one reason alone. And that's because you have stepped into an unwritten rule that you picked up when you were young. And the question then would be, what is it that I am not allowed to be? Maybe be more successful. Or what is it that I'm not allowed to do? Do something for me, do something I'm passionate about? Or what is it that I'm not allowed to have? So this is a message that you have picked up, and it could be implicit, it could be implied, or it could be something that somebody said over and over again, smart people should be doing this, or you should not be doing that. But what's that message that every time you try to go for some big goal for you, that unwritten rule says, no, you're not allowed to. This is not for you. So take a moment and just think about, what would that message be? And who, sometimes it's easier to say, whose voice am I hearing? If I hear something that says no, whose voice am I hearing?
That one seems more challenging for me. I don't know, for those of you out there, but...
Right, so if you don't get it immediately, set the intention, because you will get it. If not later today, maybe later in the week, because it's harder to do it when you're in the spot.
Yeah.
But it will come to you.
Okay.
But just to kind of go back to this, the reason why you had these emotions and the reason why you had the stress and the tension is because there's an underlying belief that's telling me, no, this is not good for me. Kids love to have ice cream, right? Ice cream, cookies, cakes. They never have an underlying tension because they're like, yeah, ice cream, we're going to go for it.
Right.
Which means we have that conflict. If we didn't have the conflict, there'd be no issue. We would have already gotten whatever we wanted. Right? We would have gone for it. We would have achieved it. We would have moved on to the next goal.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Right? So this is an important question. So go back to it if you feel like you're not getting something immediately.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to go back to our exercise. And this time I'm going to ask you to close your eyes one more time. You're still standing on the stage, and you're still holding on this big giant sign. But instead of turning inwards, I want you to look outwards. I want you to look at your audience. Remember, if you have a business or you want more money from your employer, all of those people are out there looking at you, your clients, your employers. You're telling them that this is what I deserve. What is their reaction to you making so much money? What are the top 3 emotions that come up? Again, some people will be excited. Friends and family who've always believed in you will be excited. Sometimes people feel like they're being dismissed. Somebody saying, who does he or she think they are to deserve this money? So what are the top 3 emotions that they are projecting for you?
In your mind, what is, yeah.
Right.
Only the negative ones.
You can write any. Some of it should be excitement, or, part of it you might feel that there's a little bit of excitement as well.
Okay.
All right. And
if you guys are joining us late, there is the worksheet, and you can even jump right in, I think,
absolutely.
And then go back and start again. So just wanted to shout out to those of you out there.
Yes. So we are kind of wrapping up, but there is a part of it that I want to bring it all together.
Okay.
But before we do that, here's one more question that, again, might take a little while for it to percolate into your conscious mind. So every time something doesn't work out, There's a situation that you feel like I expected it to go this way, but it went that way. We have that inner mind chatter that says, see, this proves it. Either it's usually I'm lacking in something. Either I'm not smart enough, I'm not experienced enough, I was not organized enough. What is that one thing that keeps reminding you that, see, this once again proves that I can't do this? So take a second and kind of figure out what is that thought, that is that inner mind chatter that it's almost like second nature to us. There's so much of it running through our head. So just take a moment and figure out what would that inner mind piece be. And it could even be something like there's never enough time for me to do my own stuff. Like I have to worry about everyone else.
Right.
There's no time for me. So write that down, because that's also an important part of what we'll be uncovering.
Apparently I'm writing a lot. Okay.
That's that stuff is coming up.
Right. This is like a mini therapy session.
It really is. It's a mini getting deep into your psyche session. Absolutely. Okay, so that was the exercise.
Right.
But I want to kind of bring it all together and put it together and connect the dots for you, because there's a lot that was uncovered, but it makes more sense when we put it all together.
Okay.
So the first thing is that your body is wired to feel these emotions. So when I did this for myself too. I got trained on this exercise actually. So your body is wired to feel a certain set of emotions. So for me, it was fear, it was doubt, it was anxiety when I first had my big, number standing out there. So not only was it wired to feel these emotions, but it was also wired to have these physical signs of tension. So for me, it's always, I feel it in my jaw first and then the backs of my neck. So every time I step out and I want to shine brighter, I want to achieve more, I want to accomplish more, my full body nervous system is wired to have these same emotions run through me. So it really doesn't matter whether we're talking about finance, whether it's about another personal goal, weight loss even, something as simple as that where you want it, but your body is not used to you feeling like you're winning and you're experiencing that. So you're primed to feel these emotions, and you're primed to have this full body stress response. So if you're just thinking of it from there, not even moving forward, you can imagine, we procrastinate all the time, right? That's the number one thing that people say their issue is. So why do we procrastinate? Because we feel anxious, we feel stressed, and we have all this physical body symptoms for it. And the reason we feel that is because we are subconsciously expecting people to react in the way that you feel like people reacted when you held up your sign. So if someone's going to come up there and tell me, like, who the heck does she think she is? Why would I pay her this amount of money? She doesn't deserve it. Guess what? I'm not going to go out there and sell. It's not really even selling. I'm not even going to go out there and have a conversation with people, because my first inclination is that they're going to judge me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important. Really understanding that when you step out, we haven't even stepped out, we're just thinking about stepping out, right?
Uh-huh.
So when you even think about stepping out and doing something to promote your vision, your goal, whatever that happens to be, all that emotion is priming your brain. And if you remember what I said earlier, your subconscious mind determines what you consciously think. So you may want something consciously, but your subconscious is running the show.
Uh-huh.
So you have this situation where you're being primed, and the reason for it is because you feel like people are going to judge you negatively. And then the reason for that, if you go a little bit further down, every time you step out, you have this feeling like, oh no, this is not going to work out because something happened in the past. I was taught at a young age, you don't consciously think this is all subconscious, but at a young age, somebody told me not to do this. Or at a young age, I was told this is not what I should be doing. And so when you have all of that going inside of you, you can kind of see how it's like a bundle of like, mixed energy. You can't move forward. The fact that we get anything done is a huge, surprise sometimes.
Given how much craziness is going on in the...
Yeah, because you have literally one part of your brain, kind of in conflict with the other part. Your subconscious is constantly telling your conscious brain, no, don't do this. It's not safe. It's not right. It's not this. So those are the things that have to be cleared. Like you have to have a tool. The way I say it, there are 3 things that are required to move through this. One is you have to acknowledge these emotions exist. And this is kind of what we did in the exercise. Then the second part is you have to understand what those emotions are.
And identify, yeah.
Exactly. And then the third part is you need a tool that helps you get through that emotion. It's not talking through it, because that's not going to get you to your subconscious mind. So you really need to understand what the tools are. I personally use a tool called Emotional Freedom Technique. I tap with people. It's also known as EFT or tapping. And that's a great energy breaker. It breaks the blockage, basically, or releases the blockage. But those are the kinds of things that help people move to the next level.
Wow. Could you give us a couple other examples of what some of those tools might be?
Yeah, so I work with something called energy psychology. So this is what EFT stands for. It's it's under the umbrella of energy psychology. I'm a big believer in things that are energy movers and shakers. So another one is meditation. A lot of people want to do affirmations, but my problem with affirmations is that if you don't believe what you're saying, you can be saying it forever and you're going to find that you're not going to make much difference. So there's certain meditations that I am very, very fond of. Certain people, I don't know if you've heard of Abraham Hicks. They have...
The Secret, right? The Secret,
yeah, absolutely. So get onto abrahamhicks.com. They have a Getting into the Vortex meditation that I gift every client of mine. I think it changes your life, basically. So there's that other thing that I would suggest. The other thing that I do is help people understand that in specific situations, it's important to acknowledge the fear. We have a tendency of pushing it down and repressing it. We don't want to think about it because we immediately want to get positive. But if we wholeheartedly don't feel positive, then trying to, at the surface, remain positive is not going to help. But acknowledge the fear and then say, yes, I can move through it. That will help a little bit. Not as much as the tapping, but that will help a little bit too.
So if we do identify some of these, what you were talking about today, you think identifying it and having the intention of going beyond it is not necessarily enough. You need more specific tools to make it happen.
So here's the interesting thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because intention brings you what you need. So
I like that.
Yeah. So for me, when I first started, I didn't know about EFT. This was something that just happened to fall into my lap because I was listening to another person give an interview similar to this. So the intention might bring you to particular meditation if that's what you feel like the next step is. But then there are going to be people who want to move a lot faster and further. And their intention will bring you to the right thing, whether it's this conversation, another conversation. Intention will then bring you all the situations and circumstances that you need for wherever you are in that moment. You can never go wrong, but then we procrastinate. And then it takes a little bit longer. That's about the only thing.
Right. Okay. So setting the intention is the first big step.
Setting the intention for everything. I am worthy. I am deserving. That is step one. And that, if you can hold on to that intention, you'll just find so many areas of your life start opening up.
So here you can tell is the fear-based in my own mind. I think, what if that goal that you set on that sign is too lofty? Like, is there such a thing as that number being too large or that goal being too lofty?
The only way you can find out is to achieve it, like to attempt it and to go there. The problem is you stopped yourself. Here's the saying: if you shoot for the stars and if you miss, you get to the moon. Moon's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, I believe that everybody achieves their goals, quite frankly, but we stop ourselves from even attempting it because we're so afraid that we're not going to make it.
Yeah.
And what most coaches will tell you, this is a little bit of a secret here, people aren't afraid of failure. They're afraid of success. So if you go back and do this exercise and you really put yourself standing up there being as successful as you are, you're going to start noticing that feeling of success is going to trigger some fears inside of you because you're not used to it. You don't know what it's going to look like. You don't know what it's going to bring up. Changes in your family dynamic, changes in your friends dynamic. You know, we feel like people are successful. We have a particular point of view of what that looks like. And we're afraid of that change for ourselves. So people will achieve their goals if they allow themselves to achieve their goals.
And even the most confident, I think, and successful people, they can apply some form of this exercise to some, part of their life.
Absolutely. In fact, this technique that I use, Tony Robbins uses on himself, Jack Canfield uses it on himself. I don't know if you know of Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Mm-hmm.
He was a big proponent of EFT.
The power now and intention.
Exactly. And so all these people, they all, every time they got to a particular level of success, they had a barrier that they needed to break to get to that next level. And they found EFT to be a singularly fantastic tool because session by session, you will notice it. One of my clients just called it a soul orgasm, actually. I just had her yesterday night.
Who doesn't want that?
Who doesn't want that? Exactly. So session by session, you're going to start noticing the barriers start breaking down. And then your goals increase. Even whatever your goal is today, you might find 6 months from now after doing EFT, you're like, wait a second, this is just too small. Because it is small. You've got your filters on.
Because you're limiting yourself.
Exactly.
Okay, so I would love to hear from all of you. So for those of you that are local, Naheed is...
so I work with people all over. One of my clients is in Australia.
Okay.
So
you can't do the tapping.
Well, we do the tapping. It's
you do?
I just don't do it on them. So I do it on me. So it looks a little funny. I have to admit, people make fun of me.
Yeah.
But I do it on me, and they follow along. So
okay.
it's all done online via Skype. But if you are local and if you're interested in learning, uncovering a little bit more, because it is easier when we do it one-on-one.
Yeah, sure.
I can sit down and have a conversation with you at that point about what's coming up. So I'm happy to meet with people. I'm happy to talk over Skype with anybody who's interested in learning about what they've uncovered and how to take it to the next level.
And we would love to hear from you on whether this exercise was helpful, what you may have uncovered, what are some of the barriers. Like for me, the physical, I know immediately, like I can feel it right now, my shoulders and my neck. Curious kind of what your physical restraints are, because that's something you can share that is not so private. But also, we would love to hear from you on whether you were able to partake in this exercise and what you may have uncovered that you're comfortable sharing. And if you have any questions and or follow-ups for Naheed, you can find her in the Facebook tribe and or you can message me and I can get you her contact information.
Absolutely. And just remember what I said. It feels uncomfortable sharing stuff that may feel private, but first and foremost, if you post one thing, you're going to find at least a dozen people saying, me too, I feel that way. And saying it, acknowledging it, takes power out of it. It no longer has the power to hold you back in quite the same way. So definitely share what your feelings and emotions are as much as you feel comfortable, obviously, because you're going to start finding like, oh, wow, maybe this is not as strong as I thought it was, kind of thing.
Yeah, or maybe my goal is not so unattainable.
Absolutely, and maybe I need to lift it a little bit.
Right. I hope that's what we're all going to discover, right?
That is what the goal is. If you have the intention for it and you're ready for it, it will happen.
I love it. Okay. So we would love to hear from all of you. So comment and let us know, post live. And I am hoping to be live next week. I'm going to be traveling for part of the week, but block your calendars for 2 on Tuesday, and I will let you know if anything changes. And thanks for those of you who joined us live, and for those of you who are watching the recording, keep commenting, and we will get back to you. And hope to see you in the Mompreneur Tribe Facebook group throughout the week for more tips and tools. Other than that, have a great, positive, and intention-filled day.
Intention-filled day. I like that.
We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.